Welcome back to Twin Football, the YouTube channel that covers the Premier League and the NFL. Today is Thursday, December 19th, which means we have week 16 of the NFL picks and predictions for you. Thank you for joining us. This is the best time of year for a Premier League, NFL, college football fan. We got the playoffs in the NFL coming in a couple of weeks, the festive holiday period of the Premier League. Got EFL Cup, League Cup games, Spurs, United today, Premier League games on the weekend, and then obviously the festive holiday games of the NFL, college football, and Premier League all next week. So thanks again for joining us. Let's go ahead and dive straight into it. We do all of our picks here on Twin Football on ESPN. So go ahead and make your account, pick along with us for the last 3 weeks of the NFL season. Join our Twin Football group on ESPN as well, so you can see how your record compares to ours. We sit at a 145-72 record, but we are going to crack 150, even 160 this week with 16 on the slate, and nothing better than a Thursday night divisional playoff wildcard contention game as the Chargers host Bo Nix, Sean Payton, and the Denver Broncos. The Chargers uncharacteristically last week letting up over 30 points, I think 42 Tampa Bay. That air attack of Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans did what they wanted throughout that game. The Chargers went up 17-10 and then didn't score a single point. J.K. Dobbins has been out for a couple of weeks. Will Dissly also out, going to be for this game. They may bring back Hayden Hurst, which would be a good kind of safety blanket for Justin Herbert. But Gus Edwards hasn't been getting going in the run game, and Ladd McConkey has been having to shoulder all of the passing weight with those wide receivers and tight ends that have been injured throughout the season. So they're going to have to carry the weight again tonight against a very good Denver Broncos defense, a great top 5 scoring defense in the NFL. Bo Nix and this Denver offense kind of sputtered against the Chargers when they first met in Denver back in October, but scored 17 unanswered there in the third and fourth quarter of that game. I think Sean Payton and Bo Nix have been getting better every single week. I love Bo Nix's press conference this week saying, yes, we only need to win one game to make the playoffs, but we're going to win all 3 to get a winning streak to go ahead and enter the playoffs on a hot streak and maybe win a Super Bowl. I don't know if they'll go that far, but I do like the Denver Broncos to win a home road game, whatever you want to call it, there in Los Angeles. The fans do not show up for the Chargers there. Give me the Denver Broncos to go in and get a huge divisional game and wild card race game against the Chargers. The Texans clinched their division, the AFC South. The Chiefs clinched their division as well. The Chiefs, however, are looking to win one of their 3 remaining games to clinch the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. The Houston Texans, on the other hand, really are going to end up being the 3rd or 4th spot in the AFC. They got a huge Christmas Day game coming up against the Ravens that will go a long way in deciding where the Texans will finish and where the Ravens will finish this year in terms of playoff seeding. Patrick Mahomes has the loosest ankles in the NFL, as quoted by Andy Reid this week. But we know that he's going to battle. If he is feeling like he can go, he is going to go. I think he will go in this game. And the reason why is, again, they only need one more win in the remaining 3 to clinch the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. And this is the best spot to do it against a Texans team who really, their big game is going to be against the Ravens. This game will help, but they've clinched their division. They're going to be the 3rd or 4th seed. They don't have as much to play for. It's going to be in the 20s there in Kansas City. And the Chiefs go on the road to take on the Steelers and the Broncos, 2 teams who have even more to play for in the last couple of weeks. Steelers obviously vying with the Ravens for the division, and the Broncos vying for a playoff spot. We'll see what that ends up being. Maybe they've clinched by then, but right now they haven't. If you're Mahomes and you're Andy Reid, you're looking at this game saying, well, let's go ahead, win this game at home. We'll get 2 extra weeks to play with to either rest Mahomes or just, give him a little bit of playing time here and there to work back those ankles. They will also lock up that first round bye, which would be huge for them to get fully healthy. I like the Chiefs here. I like them getting it done. I think it will be another close game, but give me the Chiefs at home. Again, the Steelers will travel to Baltimore in probably one of the most important games of the weekend for the playoff picture. The Steelers, if they do lose this game, still control their own destiny because of the tiebreaker in terms of wins and losses in the division and in the conference against the Ravens. So they will sit on, if the Steelers lose this game and both win out 12-5 on the season, both of them will be 12-5. But the Steelers have the tiebreaker as they split the season series. I think they will split the season series. I think Baltimore will win this game. Derrick Henry didn't find the end zone last week, so I got to take the L on that one. But I think he does find the end zone this week. I think the Ravens will also get some good yardage in the pass attack. We saw what Philadelphia was able to do against the Steelers last weekend. I think the Ravens can get something down the field against this defense and then complement that with the run game. They just cannot fall behind the chains because that's when Derrick Henry gets out of the game. I like the Ravens here to get the split this year against the Steelers and keep their lifeline alive for the division and that great playoff spot. They could end up as high as the 3 seed and as low as the 7th seed in the playoffs. So they're definitely going to want to win this game to improve that. The Bengals are just trying to be the 7th seed. They're going to have to win this one against the Browns and get a lot of help. Now, in order to beat the Bengals at home with Joe Burrow as the quarterback, you either need a defensive slugfest in the month of September. That's how the Patriots were able to win the opening game of the season this year, or you need to score over 30 points. Now, the Browns were able to do that a couple of years ago against Joe Burrow, and that required a lot of help on the defensive end. And the Browns defense this year has not been that high level playing secondary and pass rush that we've seen of recent years. But the Bengals defense is terrible. So that will help aid in the Browns' ability to score 30-plus points is what you usually need historically to win in Cincinnati. Jameis Winston had 11 pass attempts against this Bengals team back in the early part of the season when he was brought in as the third quarterback to play in the game against the Bengals as Deshaun Watson goes out and then DTR goes out. He did get the only touchdown, and it was a pretty close game in the fourth quarter. Comes in, gets that touchdown, shrinks that lead to 8 points, and gave them a little chance late there. They weren't able to overcome it. But I think after the string of losses, the pick sixes that he's had, he's going to be salivating at a game against a terrible, terrible Bengals defense. They have been playing a little bit better of late, but they still let up a lot of points. I'm not a fan here of 97% picking the Bengals because I am 3%. Give me the Browns. They'll end the playoff hopes for the Bengals and get a win in the Battle for Ohio at Cincinnati. The Giants will take on the Falcons, who are looking to keep pace. They're atop the NFC South. 7-7. We know 500 is usually good enough to win this division, so they're going to want to get another win here, and nothing better than welcoming a Giants team that just are waiting for the season to end. They got a scrappy win against the Raiders on Monday night, so a short week for the Falcons, but I think against this Giants team, they will be able to score enough points. 15 to 20 points may be enough against this Giants team. So give me the Falcons at home. The Detroit Lions will take on the Chicago Bears team that's lost 8 in a row. And now they will be at home at Soldier Field against the Lions, who lost David Montgomery for the season. Another injury to add to that list as they took the loss against the Buffalo Bills. I thought for sure they would be able to control the clock, but what happened to that defense? Obviously, David Montgomery is a huge loss for them on the offensive end and their ability to run the football. I still like the Lions here. The Bears have fired their OC, they fired their head coach, and they just haven't been playing well. Caleb Williams did not look good last week against the Vikings team, who he did perform pretty well a couple weeks ago in the second half at least, and his struggles will continue. The coaching staff, they've gone through everybody. I don't see them turning it around. Give me the Lions to get a win. Again, the Lions are playing for a lot here as they sit tied with the Eagles atop the NFC, but also right there with the Minnesota Vikings for the division. They haven't clinched the division, and they haven't clinched the NFC conference, obviously. So a lot to play for the Lions in the remaining games this year. Not a lot to play for the Tennessee Titans. Mason Rudolph will get the start here as they travel to Indianapolis and take on a Colts team that they lost to early on in the season when Joe Flacco was the quarterback and Jonathan Taylor wasn't there. Tennessee Titans defense is terrible. Bottom 5 in terms of rushing quarterbacks, or bottom 10 against rushing quarterbacks so far this year. Their rushing defense a little bit better than that, but adding Jonathan Taylor, adding Anthony Richardson there in the backfield is exactly the recipe for the Colts to win this football game because they have to keep the ball on the ground. Anthony Richardson, we saw last week, if you're going to rely on his arm, you're not going to get it done. I think they will have success in the run game, and they will get the win here against Tennessee. The Rams, a injury-prone team early, got healthy, and can score in bunches when they are clicking on all cylinders. They will travel across the country here to take on the Jets. The good thing for them is they got that win against San Francisco 10 days ago, so they've gotten some good rest up before this cross-country flight. The Jets are the Jets. I can't pick them right now. Devontae Adams had a huge game last week in their 4th win of the season, but I just don't see it continuing as the season peters out for them. Playoff hopes are dashed. Give me the Rams, who are playing for the division as they finally sit atop of that division. Very close contest between them, San Francisco, and the Cardinals, and even the Seahawks as well. The Eagles, again, looking to keep pace with the Detroit Lions as they travel to Washington. The Eagles, every single week, prove that they can beat you in so many different ways. The defensive line is playing better and better every single week. They were a run-heavy team. Last week, they were a pass-heavy team. They beat good defenses. They beat bad defenses. They just know how to win football games against a Washington team who really is exceeding expectations. A lot of wins against some bad teams. I don't think they will have enough to compete with this Eagles team that can just hold on to the ball, beat you whichever way you let them beat you. As Jalen Hurts says, is that what you wanted to see? That is what we wanted to see. Eagles get a win this weekend to stay atop the NFC conference. Arizona traveling to Carolina. Carolina obviously done and dusted for any real contention for the playoffs. That what happened a long time ago. Arizona, however, still a shot to win the division, only 1 game back of the Rams and the Seahawks, and a good matchup here in a battle of 2 teams that are going to like to run the football. Some linebacker injuries to be a little bit concerned with if you're Arizona, but I think both Collins and Wilson will play this weekend. So I like Arizona to go in and get the win. Chuba Hubbard, only 10 carries against Dallas last week against a terrible Dallas run defense, and 30 yards, 10 carries. And the reason why was Bryce Young, 4 turnovers, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions. I just think, he's too inconsistent. Arizona's pass rush can get to you. They can cause some turnovers. So give me Arizona to run the football and turn over Bryce Young and get the win to stay in the playoff hunt there in the NFC. The Minnesota Vikings also at 12-2. Those trio of 12-2 teams in the NFC take on those Seattle Seahawks. And Geno Smith needs to be able to handle the blitz and the various blitz packages that the Vikings like to throw at you in this game. We'll see how the weather plays a role as well. I do like the Vikings. They've been on a hot streak. I think it continues. Give me the Vikings across the country in Seattle. Buffalo, obviously, riding Josh Allen's coattails over the last couple of weeks. No one is playing better football than him. At 11-3, they are basically, by the time this game kicks off, maybe already out of the 1 seed. They basically have locked up the 2 seed, kind of. With Pittsburgh's hard schedule, you think they wouldn't go all the way and win all of those games. So you think Buffalo, they just need maybe 1 or 2 wins and they'll wrap it up. They get the Patriots here at home. I like Josh Allen. I like the Buffalo Bills to win comfortably and lock up the 2 seed here shortly. In a battle of who wants to be the better or get a better draft pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars will travel to take on the Las Vegas Raiders in really a toss-up game. We'll see how the offenses are able to play. Very inconsistent throughout the year, changing quarterbacks either due to injury or just benching. The best player on either of these teams do play for the Las Vegas Raiders, and that is Max Crosby. I like a big play from him and a Vegas win at home. San Francisco needing to keep pace here as they sit bottom of their division at 6-8, but only 2 games back of the Rams and the Seahawks there atop the division. They take on a Dolphins team that just keeps sputtering along. They sit at 6-8, an outside chance here for an AFC playoff spot. They're going to want to win this game, but I think after that tough loss to the Rams 10 days ago, the Niners had time to sit on it, get all of their pieces fully healthy, and they're going to want to win in a big way. Give me the Niners there to go into Miami and get the win. Tampa Bay Buccaneers sit atop their division at 8-6, 1 game ahead of the Falcons, who sit at 7-7. They take on a Cowboys team who are 6-8 and really just waiting for the season to end. An outside chance here of the playoffs, but I don't think it's going to happen. I like Tampa Bay to go into Dallas and get a win with that offense. It's just clicking too much for the Dallas Cowboys to handle. The Saints will travel to Green Bay in a hopeful snow game at Lambeau. Nothing better than snow, Lambeau, and under the lights on Monday night. Green Bay, obviously, 2 games back of both the Vikings and the Lions, aren't going to win the division. They're pretty solid into the wild card spot at 10-4. Maybe they can play for some seeding, but always a home night game. You're going to want to perform and put on a good performance for your fans. And against the Saints team, who have been injury riddled all year, I like Green Bay to win comfortably at home. But there you have it, all of our 16 picks from us at Twin Football. Thank you very much for joining us. A great time to be a sports fan, a Premier League fan, an NFL fan, a college football fan, and that is what our channel is all about. We love to have you. Thanks for joining, and enjoy the football.